The city woke with a groan. Cars honked impatiently, steam hissed from subway grates, and people hurried past one another like they were running from time itself. But amidst all this, in a narrow alley between two crumbling buildings, a young girl stirred beneath a blanket of old newspapers. Her name was Lila. She was 10, or maybe 11. She wasn't sure anymore. She had no home, no parents she remembered, only a worn-out backpack with a broken zipper, and a pair of sneakers too big for her feet. She was used to being invisible. As she stretched and blinked away the cold, a sudden flutter caught her eye. A white feather danced in the air before her, drifting lazily down from the sky. It shimmered, glowing faintly in the morning light. Lila reached out, and as it brushed her palm, a breeze tugged it from her hand and sent it sailing down the alley. Curious, and with nothing better to do, she followed. The feather floated above the heads of passersby, weaving through the crowd. Lila chased it down Market Street, past towering buildings and closed storefronts, until it paused in front of a bakery. Inside, a woman with flour on her cheeks was handing a warm roll to an elderly man sitting on a bench. He looked tired, but when he took the bread, his eyes lit up. The baker smiled softly, waved him off, and returned to her oven. The feather swirled once, then darted away. Lila, hungry now but still curious, continued on. Next, the feather led her to a small park nestled between apartment blocks. There, a man in paint-stained clothes was fixing a broken swing while a group of children watched. One little boy looked up at the man and said, "My sister can swing again now! Thanks!" The man just winked and ruffled the boy's hair. Lila sat for a moment, watching. She couldn't remember the last time someone had done something kind for her without asking for something in return. She stood up and walked toward the man. She didn't speak, just watched. He noticed her gaze and, without a word, handed her a lollipop from his coat pocket. She hesitated, then took it. "Don't lose that smile," he said, and returned to his work. The feather lifted off again, and she followed. It led her down a side street where a musician was playing violin beside an old fountain. A young woman walked by, paused, and dropped her last few coins into his open case. The musician looked up, surprised. "You need that more than I do," he said. The woman shook her head. "Music helped me through my worst nights. Now it's my turn." Lila sat beside the fountain, the candy still in her mouth, the sound of the violin curling around her like a blanket. She watched the feather spiral upward, then dip again. She was starting to understand. The day wore on. Lila followed the feather across the city, from a nurse buying lunch for an exhausted janitor, to a boy giving his only umbrella to a woman in a wheelchair as rain started to fall. Each small act, seemingly insignificant, lit up the world just a little more. And though no one noticed her, Lila felt like she was part of it all somehow. At dusk, the feather danced into a small library where the lights were just beginning to glow golden in the fading light. Lila hadn't been inside a library in years, but something made her push the door open and step in. The feather floated toward a corner table where a young librarian was sorting donated books. She noticed Lila at the door and smiled, not the kind of smile people gave out of pity, but one full of warmth. "Hi there," she said. "You look like someone who could use a story." Lila nodded. She didn't speak often, but she walked slowly toward the table. The librarian pulled out a chair. "What's your name?" "Lila." "Hi, Lila. I'm May." She handed her a book with a golden spine. "This one's about a girl who finds a key to a secret garden. Want to read with me?" So they did, and for an hour, Lila wasn't cold or tired or alone. She was just a girl in a magical garden with someone kind by her side. When it was time to go, May walked Lila to the door. "Come back anytime. We're here every day." Lila looked up. "Will you be here?" "Always," May promised. As Lila stepped outside, the feather floated gently into her hand once more. She closed her fingers around it. It didn't fly away. That night, she found a spot near the fountain, the music long gone, but the memories still playing in her head. She lay down, the feather tucked in her pocket, and for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel forgotten. Years later. The city hadn't changed much, but Lila had. Now 16, she wore clean clothes and walked with purpose. She volunteered at the same library where May once read to her, helped serve meals at the bakery, and played simple tunes on a violin someone had gifted her. And sometimes on windy days, she'd spot a child sitting alone or someone quietly hurting, and she'd offer them something small. A story, a smile, a sandwich, a song. In her coat pocket, the feather still rested. A little worn, a little curled at the edges, but always there, because kindness, like feathers in the wind, never really disappears. It just floats on, carried from hand to hand, heart to heart, changing the world, one small act at a time.